fill your thirst beside the river. Wash the journey from your hands. Feel the comfort flow inside you. Come this far, you understand. Fear's not allowed, where dreams can be lost or found.
Hello, welcome to Healing Outside the Box. This is our 22nd show. And my name is Rosemary Lachance, and I'm a Reiki practitioner.
And I'm Traci, Crampton, and I'm a Reiki and EFT practitioner.
And tonight we have with us Krista Polinsky, a Feng Shui, and the title of the show is Feng Shui and Space Clearing, right? Okay, and Traci will read a little bit about her biography before we welcome her.
Krista Polinsky first began studying energy healing in 2000, receiving her certification in both Reiki 1 and 2. She went on to further her studies at the Institute of Healing Arts and Sciences in Bloomfield, Connecticut, and was among the first class to graduate from the school's 4-year energy medicine program in 2004. During her training, Krista completed 2 clinical internships, one at the Hospital of St. Raphael's Outpatient Oncology Department and the other at UConn Women's Health Clinic. While studying at the Institute of Healing Arts and Sciences, she also began working for the school, and because of her passion and vision for the school, quickly became the executive director. She was responsible for developing the clinical internship program within 5 area hospitals. Krista also played an instrumental role in attaining approval from the State of Connecticut Department of Higher Education for the 3- and 4-year curriculum programs at the Institute of Healing Arts and Sciences. While studying energy medicine and going through her own personal growth process, Krista began to see how as she changed, so did her house. She began to make connections between her house and her body, which she found fascinating, and this propelled her to go on to study the art of Feng Shui. In February 2005, Krista began her study of the ancient art of placement at the Feng Shui Alliance in Edgewater, New Jersey, and she graduated with her certification in January 2006. She was of a select few chosen to go on to complete an advanced certificate program also at the Feng Shui Alliance, and Krista's desire to round out her studies in Feng Shui led her to take many additional courses from experts in the field of Feng Shui and dowsing. She has completed several courses in dowsing and space clearing and combines this skill with her Feng Shui for her clients. Krista conducts regular classes and workshops on various topics of Feng Shui and energy medicine principles. She has her own private practice located in Hamden, Connecticut, called Soul Intent. She is available for private healing sessions and offers Feng Shui and space clearing consultations for both the home and business environments. Welcome, Krista.
Thanks for having me.
Welcome.
Good to be here. Thanks.
Well, as we start with most of our guests, tell us a little bit about how you became interested in this field.
Okay.
And a little bit about your personal journey.
Okay, great. Yeah, as you mentioned in the bio, I started on the healing journey in 2000, and what really prompted that was to heal myself. The school at that time was really about personal growth, and I went to school to really just heal wounds from childhood and move on. And in that process, in doing the internship program that we mentioned at St. Raphael's, I really realized at that point that that was the work that I was meant to do. I felt most myself when I was in the healing process with the patient. Before that time, it never occurred to me to want to do this for a living. I just, again, like I said, it was for myself, but through that process, you know, it all evolved. And like you mentioned, as I was changing, we were also in the process of renovating our home. And that was really interesting. You know, when we bought the home, the house was, we bought it from the original homeowner, who was 89 years old, and the house was neglected, and kind of similar to myself. I spent a lot of time in my life worrying about other people and taking care of other people, as you know, many women who grow up in this country were taught to do, is to take care of others and not take care of ourselves. And I just realized that if I continued on that path, I was going to make myself sick. Luckily, fortunately for me, I never developed any serious illness, but I always felt like I had knots in my stomach, and I was always
A lot of tension.
a lot of tension. So in that respect, the house needing to be loved, I really believe that on some level I was sent to heal that house, and as I was healing that house, it was healing me as well. And that was just, to me, it was just fascinating, because in the school we're learning to become aware of an individual's energy, just the human energy field, and then with Feng Shui to recognize that every object has an energy field. It didn't occur to me until, you know, I started to look at this. We actually hired a Feng Shui practitioner to come and Feng Shui the school.
Wow.
And that was a phenomenal experience, because a story is that when we were going through the process of trying to get the school approved by the Department of Higher Ed, we had to buy a fireproof file cabinet. And we couldn't afford a brand new one because they're really expensive, so we bought a used one, but we didn't know where it came from. So here comes this 750-pound file, because it has all this insulation in it, and where did they put it? Right across from my desk. And in doing so, because it was a lot larger than a regular file, it stuck out beyond where the door was going to open.
Yeah.
And so the door couldn't open all the way. But ever since that file came into my office, it was directly, I felt very agitated. And prior to that, I didn't feel any agitation. So I started to make a connection, and I called the Feng Shui practitioner, and I said, am I crazy, or could it be, since this file came in my office, I feel very agitated? She said, no, that definitely could, you know, be the case. And I said, well, next time you're in the area, if you could come in and take a look at this, because you know, something's going on. And right away she said, you know, the file is blocking the door from opening. And what was happening too was, all of a sudden the enrollment went way down. Like, people weren't enrolling in the school.
Wow. So you can see
it was stopping the flow.
Oh.
So the file was blocking the door from opening. And so in Feng Shui, our doors are ways that Qi enters into a space. And so the Qi was being limited. The amount of Qi that we could capture was being limited. Besides the fact of the door, every time anybody opened the door, it banged into the file. So it was like an aggravation of smacking into the door.
Wow.
But it seemed like that was the only place that the file could fit. So she came and she was like, you got to get this file out of here. And so we ended up having to like put it down the hall, and basically it was just the student files needed to be locked up and secured, and they had to make sure that they weren't going to burn and that kind of thing. But we ended up getting out of there. As soon as we moved it, the enrollment went back up.
Wow.
People started signing up for the school. So it was just like, there's something to this, you know, because I experienced it, plus the experience of the energy. I mean, we don't know where that file came from. It could have came out of a hospital. It could have came out of a morgue. It could have came out of a prison. I don't know where it came from, court.
Right.
So it started to allow me to see.
You know, basically, it's absorbed the energy of all the places
the environment
it's been in, and all the people who've touched it.
Exactly. And to me, just that experience was, I need to understand this more, so I wanted to take the energy piece to a greater level. And that's really what Feng Shui is starting to become aware of our spaces, the places that we reside in, where we go. I mean, you know, and everybody knows what it feels like when they walk into a space and there was just an argument, or there was some kind of confrontation. You walk and you're like, you feel it.
The vibration, yeah.
And most of us in our own homes become desensitized to our spaces. So we need a pair of fresh eyes to come in and help us to see, what we can't see
And I think
anymore.
that happens with even the most obvious, like if you own an old home and, okay, like what door doesn't line up properly and where the leaky faucet is, or like in our shower, the hot and cold knobs are switched, and I always forget to tell guests, like, oh, that's really the cold and that's really the hot, So it's like, whoa, and then you're reminded, like, yes, you do become desensitized to all, and that's the obvious things, but then there are also so many other energies that are much more subtle that also
Absolutely.
affect us.
Absolutely.
We become immune to after a while, not
And
immune
like,
to, but-
as you guys know, being Reiki practitioners, when it's our stuff, we can't see it. We need someone to support us in seeing what we can't see for ourselves. So the space is just another way at supporting someone in their healing process, because it's an outward reflection of what's going on with the person internally. So I was just at a space today doing some clearing work, and there was a lot of stop and start with the construction process, a lot of chaos, a lot of, and so I said, well, this is a reflection of what's going on for the owners of this building. So where do they believe that things need to take a long time? Do they believe that things are difficult? Somewhere in their life, do they have a belief that things don't flow easily? That things don't. And the more that you can help people to get to what the belief is that's setting it up, then it doesn't have to, run them.
Right.
But when we're on automatic pilot and we're so busy and we don't pay attention, then these things take over. They become automatic programming.
Wow.
I'm a big person on the lighting. I don't care for overhead light. I like the lights on the tables, the softer, nice, cozy. I like
Task
cozy.
lighting.
Yeah, I like that kind of thing. Whenever I remember a friend of mine who always walked in her living room and you turned the big light on, and I'm going, oh, I was so uncomfortable. I said, I'll go buy you some lights for your table. I said, I'm
Right.
so uncomfortable, but then she got some and it looked just so much better. What would you say for someone who house is cluttered? I mean,
Completely cluttered.
well,
That's a
yeah,
big problem for
any
most
flat
people.
surface.
A lot of people have that.
Any flat surface, it'll start
It's-
to pile up.
yeah.
If you could do a time lapse photography, you can't. They get a new table. I said, no,
And
no,
as
no.
soon as it's
Don't get a flat table. Get a round table. And none does.
Yeah,
What about that?
surfaces, when people tend to collect clutter on
Yeah.
tabletops or countertops, that is a belief in, or a way that we put obstacles in our everyday life, in our day-to-day life. So it's a way that we stop ourselves. Clutter is basically delayed decisions. It's stagnant energy. And what happens with clutter is that the stagnant energy attracts, what happens is it makes us tired and it attracts more energy to it. And so a lot of times when I work with people who have clutter, they'll tell me, I'm exhausted before I started.
Chronic
And I'm like,
fatigue, yeah.
exactly, because that's what the clutter is doing. It just sucks the energy right out of us. So there's no way that it's not reasonable to think that someone's going to go in and attack it, all at one time. And I don't think that it's healthy. There's a lot of shows on HGTV and other stations that go in and they totally transform it in a weekend.
And
it's
it's not enough for the
traumatizing.
person, right? They don't process it on a
If you don't-
personal level, right?
Exactly. If you don't help them to become aware of why the clutter has started in the first place, then chances are they're just going to recreate it.
I'll give you an example. I had a friend, a male friend, who had a lot of clutter. And I went in, he asked for my help, and I cleared. When I got to the bedroom, okay, there was clothes on the bed, which you would literally just push aside a little bit and sleep with the clothes. On the bed, on the floor, everywhere. So I got it all fixed, straightened out, put everything away. We got new curtains, new bedspread, rug, floor. Really looked good, right? He couldn't sleep. He couldn't sleep.
Yeah,
He had to get clothes and throw him
Sometimes
on the
that's
bed.
a cushioning
And-
effect for people too.
Yeah, that's what I was
right?
going to ask
Absolutely.
you. What about the theory of we do that to feel protected?
Cocoon, yeah.
Absolutely. It's
Cocoon
it's
ourselves.
weight too. I mean, weight is clutter. So when people have a lot of weight or tend to be overweight, or especially when they hold a lot of weight here, I see, in doing the energy, the body work, and the feng shui, clutter is a definite connection to the third chakra, which is all connected to the digestive organs. So it's hanging on to things. So sometimes we're hanging on to the past, afraid to let go. When people have difficulty releasing, having bowel movements, it's like they're holding on to the past. They're afraid to let it go. When
Yeah.
they're constipated, when they have diarrhea, it's like they don't know how to let it go. So when people, I always like to look at people's personal energy, and one of the things that I do is look at 9-star key astrology. We've talked about that.
What is that called again?
9-star key astrology, and it's just based on the month, day, and year that they're born. It's a personality astrology. It's not a destiny astrology. But if someone's an earth person, earth people tend to need a lot of stuff around them. They're the person who's going to have lots of collections. They like the Hummels and they like the tchotchke. And if I go in and I say, you got to get rid of this, they're going to go into trauma. They have to have a certain amount of that. So if that man was an earth person, maybe it needs to be more.
Air.
Yeah, but it's
Air
different
sign.
than if they're.
Yeah,
It's different than Western astrology.
Oh, okay.
Yeah, but anyways, there's a need for him to maybe, cocoon himself and protect himself, being that it's the bedroom now, not knowing what area of the house that relates to in the map that we use called the bagua. It just means 8-sided arrangement. I would look at where that's showing up. Where is his bedroom? Is it in the relationship area? So is he trying to fill that relationship area up so much so that nothing can come in because he's afraid of a relationship? That will happen. So people will do
for
that.
our audience, can you explain a little bit about the bagua and what
Sure,
that is? I think
sure.
people a lot of people are beginning to hear more about that.
Right.
As we study more and more about Feng Shui. But
Yeah, this is my bagua. Do you want me to
for the camera, I
show-
don't know
if
if
the
we can
camera
zoom
can,
in on
zoom in on
Krista.
this.
And there we go.
highlight?
There you
Oh,
go.
look at the
Glary, but
glare.
yeah.
Or I could put it down if it's easier.
How would you hold it straight?
That's good, right?
There
Like
you
how
go,
about
like
that?
that.
Perfect, yeah.
That's good.
So it's basically 8 different quadrants. We lay it from the front door, and the front door is always going to enter in there, or there. And so it's either going to come in career, helpful people, or knowledge and spirituality. And so then we have these other areas, which is new beginnings and ancestors, prosperity, fame, recognition, relationship, children, and creativity. And in the center is health. So if someone was having relationship issues and there was a lot of clutter in that area of their house, this area also associates with the mother. So maybe they have issues with their relationship with their mom.
Okay.
So it kind of
It's
gets a little
fascinating.
bit
It's absolutely fascinating.
deeper, but the map is definitely used as a way to start to get to the bigger, the more in-depth pieces of what's going on. I thought when I went to school I was going to learn where to put stuff, but it's
I know.
so
I
much.
think people have this impression of Feng Shui as like, oh, I hang a chime and I put some
Absolutely.
coins here, but maybe
Few
you can
elephants
debunk that
and,
for us and tell us a little bit more about
Yeah, I think my
what
goal.
we're trying to get at.
Yeah, my goal with Feng Shui is to help people to realize that it's not about having your house look like a Chinese restaurant. That's if I go into a colonial. Really, though, I mean, if you read the books and they tell you to put a chime here and a flute there and a crystal, it's like, who lives like that? I don't want to decorate my house that way, so why would I assume that a client is going to?
I saw someone who had a red maroonish cord around their toilet on the floor. A cord. I said, what is this? Oh, it's Feng Shui. Okay.
Okay.
All right.
And I'm not saying,
Because our beliefs have a lot to do with it too. So if we give
Absolutely.
that red cord the power of our belief, then it probably will have some sort of charm effect on.
Right, and the
things,
thing
too.
of it is that Feng Shui has been around for thousands of years, and so you have the energy with the Feng Shui cures. They have a lot of energy behind them for being used so many thousands of years, and the belief behind that gives it its
and
power.
like the Reiki symbols. And
Absolutely. So I always tell people, if it resonates for you, that if that makes sense and feels right for you, then do it. If people are open to putting a crystals are extremely effective, but if it's going to look totally, out of place, then I don't think that that's always the best recommendation. I try not to overuse crystals or mirrors, but they're very effective, cures for certain things. But I always try to keep in decorating to the taste of, the homeowner. And if that doesn't fall in line with you don't want it to stand out. That's not to me, that's not what it's about. You're trying to create balance and harmony. And if everybody's going to walk in and say, why do you got that flute hanging like that? I don't know. It doesn't make sense to me.
I just had a
have to
picture
go
in my
into
head.
a long diatribe every time of why the flute is there. Yeah.
Right.
It's
Right.
true.
If it's going to draw your attention to it. So.
So, how does a person typically come to you, and what are some of the common issues they present?
I've worked with a lot of people with career issues. Either they want a new career, or they've changed careers, but they can't seem to get that going, and they want a little jump start. Or a lot of times it's people feel stuck. So they could feel stuck in their career, stuck in their relationship, or it's money. They want to bring in more prosperity. Those seem to be the biggest ones. I do a lot of work with small business owners too. So sometimes it's, especially in our economy, it's a little bit difficult right now, but that's a belief. And so people want to utilize Feng Shui as an enhancement to what they're already doing. What I really want to stress is that Feng Shui is not magic. People want to make it magic, and I'm going to come in and I'm going to, wave my wand and everything's going to be fixed. And not to say that benefits don't happen, but it's a piece of a lot of other pieces. And so it's just increasing the opportunity and the ability to capture the energy and enhance the energy towards what you want to do. It's like if you have a plan that, I want to be in business and this is what I want to do and these are the things that I want to achieve, and you can set your environment up to do that and support you in it, the better opportunity you have to get there. So Feng Shui is really about giving you, a greater opportunity to capture what it is that you want to strive to. It's not, I like to get rid of the superstition of it. I also, when I work with people, I never use the word bad. And I think you can read a lot of books out there, and people, I think, get afraid of having a consultation because they may have read a book or experienced it with someone else that came in and said, this is bad. Oh, no, you got your stairs over here. This is bad, or that's bad. And
and don't feel like you need to clean your house first before you go.
I'll never get there.
I know that
People
goes
say
on
that all the time. I got to fix a few things and then I'll have you out. And it's like, what?
Don't do that.
That's
right
not
now.
the point. The point is to,
No.
get you in there when it's really showing you.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Because
I don't
it's
know, you've been to my
not a
house and you taught
judgment.
me so much about, we have a lot of antiques in our house, and you told me so much about the energy within those objects,
carries.
and I found the space clearing fascinating, so
Good.
maybe we could
Wood'll
touch on
hold,
that a
yeah,
little
wood'll
too.
hold energy the strongest. And before I started doing the clearing work, I thought maybe metal would hold it, like jewelry and that kind of thing. But there's energies that can hang on to wood for hundreds of years, even longer. It doesn't necessarily mean that it's a bad thing, but people like to have antiques around them because they remind them of a loved one or, someone who they're close to that passed on. And that's all well and good, but if there is an energy connected to it, when you have energies in your home or somehow connected to the objects in your space, they can become a drain on the space. It tends to be more of what we refer to as a yin energy, and that becomes an energy that can become like a spin and pull,
like a vortex,
like a vortex, and kind of pull on energy because it needs energy to sustain it. So it has to get the energy from somewhere.
Okay.
So people will say, "Oh, but I know my son is here, or I know so and so is here, and I don't want them to leave." And sometimes it's hard, but we have to think about what's best for the soul. And if we're holding them here and they can't go on and do the work that they need to do, then that may not be the best thing for everybody.
Can you
Absolutely.
feel when you go into a house and can you feel the vibration of that?
It depends on how strong it is. I can feel it, but I use 2 tools when I do my dowsing. I use a dowsing rod. When there is if there is a ghost or a strong draw of energy, it is like the movies, and the temperature in the room will drop. And I've had that experience of all of a sudden it'll feel really cold in the room. So in that case, you definitely pick it up. But I use the dowsing rod as a way to tune into the disturbance, and I'll follow the chi and ask certain questions. And once I tune into it, then I use the pendulum as a way to get more information from the energy.
All right, how does the dowsing rod work? Tell our audience. How does the dowsing rod?
If we could figure that out, we would.
There's
Nobody really knows.
There's a lot of different theories, but it's
Just like the
basically allowing us to tune into it becomes an extension of our energy field.
You
And
could feel something from it?
It begins to move.
it'll move. Like if
Dowsing rod will move. Oh.
right. I mean, I don't know if you want me to show you, but if I ask it to, if I wanted to follow chi, I would say, show me the chi, and see it's just moving and I'm not moving it. Show me the flow of chi in the space. And when I get a disturbance, this is what it's going to do.
Is a disturbance here?
Yeah, I mean, there's disturbances everywhere,
Yeah,
so it's
no, I know.
nothing to
There's a
get
lot of things in
alarmed
the
out.
studio,
We have a
yeah.
lot of wires and
Yeah,
equipment.
there's a lot of technology in here. There's, but it's just charge. The stronger the charge is, then the greater pull it'll have on the energy. But there's, people get upset. A lot of what I clear is disturbed emotional energy, anger, sadness, all kinds of emotional energy that'll get left in the space. I also will clear geopathic energy, so energy that's in the land that can get disturbed. Like I did a building today that when they excavated, things in the earth got disturbed. And so they actually haven't been able to rent the building since last year, since the building was finished. So they had me come out today, and so we'll see what happens. It definitely felt a big shift. But we're definitely influenced by underground water, negative magnetic fields, faulting pressure, and if we spend extended periods of time over these energies, it can cause health problems. Research has been done that shows that it can be linked to if you sleep over gamma radiation, which is just water in a fault line or 2 fault lines crossing or water crossing, creates gamma radiation. If you sleep over that over extended periods of time, can develop cancer.
Wow.
But most people don't even know that.
No.
So, but that's what this is doing, is allowing us to tune into that information.
That's wonderful. I never knew it was that involved.
Oh,
I was,
yes.
I
very.
never knew.
People think I'm
Very
going to come
layered.
out and wave some sage and I'm out of there, but it
Yeah.
could take a couple hours. Sometimes I have to go back. Yeah, there's, ley line. I mean, I pick up a lot of Native American energy around here. I've done a lot of clearing in Brantford and Indian Neck and that area. A lot of Native American energy that's
Now,
influencing.
when you study Feng Shui, before you study it, do you have these abilities, these kind of psychic abilities, these
I think we all
sensitive?
do.
Yes, yeah.
So when you study it, do they tell you how to do that, or it's just a natural thing in you? You know what I'm saying?
I think I've always been a sensitive person, and that was kind of part of the problem for me growing up, was being too sensitive. But now I've learned to channel that sensitivity in a way that allows me to tune into what's going on for people, what's going on for spaces. But I don't think that I'm any more gifted than any other person out there watching this. I think
Oh, no.
everybody has
Right.
it.
Everybody has it,
Yes.
right? You just choose
the more
to
you use
hone
it.
Yeah, it's
Yes.
a muscle. It's like a muscle that you use. It gets
Exactly.
refined and sharpened.
Yeah.
Exactly. No, that's true. I've always said that, right, Trace? Everyone has it that can do it. We just decided we want to do it, so we
Absolutely.
study it, practice it, and do it.
Right.
Yeah.
And I agree with the sensitivity. I always tell clients that I meet with, especially if they're sensitive to chemicals, food. I mean, sensitivity in general is a gift if you can learn how to utilize it.
Absolutely.
Definitely a gift.
Didn't feel like a gift
No,
when I was
when
younger.
you're going through it.
But I know I was given that for a reason, and really all the work that I do, the energy healing, the feng shui, is really to help people to remember who they are and to love who they are. It's not about judgment, and
No.
the clearing work especially is really about having compassion for the self. We're so, I know myself included, are so hard on ourselves. And it's really just about, owning who we are, recognizing the gifts that we have, and being able to shine that out to the world,
Absolutely.
shine that light out.
So you can clear that energy right from wherever you go in the house and so forth.
Yeah, I mean, it could be cleared from a distance too. I always like to go to the space at least one time, but as we expand and get into these multi-dimensional, 4 or 5 dimensions, there is no space and time.
Right.
So people, I had a tough time with that when I first started too. What do you mean I don't need to be there and you're going to clear me? I mean,
I
whoa,
think
that's
some
a
of the
little...
most effective healing I've done has been from a distance.
Yeah, because the personality's out of the way.
Right.
You don't
I
have
know.
to get through all that layers.
You can't see, like, how are they looking at me? How are they reacting to all of this? Yeah.
Yeah,
Yeah.
I agree.
When do people typically contact you for space clearing?
Desperation.
Really? They're
It's
feeling
funny, the most recent ones I've been doing is, my business should really be doing better than it is, and I don't understand. I think I'm doing everything right, but there's something off. There's something wrong, and, I saw your ad, and I just felt drawn to call you. I did an apartment building in New Haven that hadn't been able to be rented for 9 months. This one was another one where it hasn't been able to be rented. If someone is going through a divorce or a very traumatic or emotional event, they'll call me. I've worked with families who are having issues with their children. Everybody wants to get diagnosed ADD, and it's very frustrating to me.
Yes, I know.
That we want to over-medicate all these kids, and there's
Yes.
nothing wrong with them.
You're absolutely.
They're just
Absolutely.
extremely highly sensitive.
Exactly.
And so they're picking up on stuff, and they don't know how to
Filter it. They can't filter it yet.
They don't
Yeah.
know how to work with the tools and the gifts that they've been given. And so
That's sad.
really. So these advanced beings, as I see them, these the crystals, the indigos, and all these kids that are here now that are being over-medicated because our 3-dimensional tools do not know how to deal with the
4th dimension, yes.
Exactly.
Beyond, yes.
So I'll work with the space, because a lot of times they're picking up on energies that are in the space or that used to be in the space, and the medication, it just numbs them out so
Yes.
that they don't have to, but in essence, and they'll medicate themselves. A lot of the indigos
Right.
especially will have drug problems. They'll start abusing drugs as a
Yes.
way to kind of check out, but it makes it worse because they start blowing holes in their energy field, and more things can come in and
Harm them,
mess with
yeah.
them more. So but I'll work with that. If someone is buying a new house and they want to kind of clear the energy and set down their own, their own imprint into the space, I love to do that right from the get-go. That's ideal. Or if they're trying to sell a house and the house won't sell. Number one reason why a house won't sell is because the person living there hasn't detached from it.
Yes.
We all think, and I just, I just recently sold my house last September. It seems like yesterday. And it was tough. I was there for 13 years, and we had, done all that work, and as I went through my whole healing
Yeah.
process there,
It was
and as
such a
much as I
process.
was ready to go on, it was like, wow, it's like a big deal. It's one of the biggest stressors that, besides divorce and
Right. I know my sister
job
had
change.
a relationship, and she had bought a house with this boy she was with, and man she was with. I don't know, maybe it was a boy. And then, they separated, and she bought a condo or a townhouse, and the house was she was still trying to sell the house, but she hadn't detached from it. And as soon as she, intentionally went there and, said her goodbyes and detached from it, it sold like that. I mean, it was really something within her.
Well, it was interesting because we had been looking to move for 5 years and never could find the right house. And I had my Feng Shui teacher come, and I said, I want you to do a clearing on my house because, again, it's our
Right.
stuff. Couldn't clear my own house. So she came, and literally, I literally felt us be released from the space. A lot of, stuck. Being safe there, being comfortable, but it was time on a grander scale. My husband and I were both ready to move on to the next piece in the journey. But it's a huge
How do people hear about you? I mean, I'm sure there's
word of
a
mouth.
ton of people out there who, if they're listening to the show, realize, I've never heard of that before, and so forth and so on. So it's just by word of mouth that it gets. I wish more people could,
Yeah.
Right.
find about it and understand about it.
I do advertise
That's why we
in
have the show, but
Yeah, I do advertise in Natural Awakenings magazine. I've been advertising in there for about a year and a half. I've written 2 articles for them, and it definitely helps. But I think what I do is so personal that it's not something that it always
Right,
feels
it's
better
not
when it comes
easily-
from someone that says, oh my God, I met Krista, or I heard her speak. A lot of times someone
Right,
hears
'cause
me
you give a
speak or
lot of
comes to a
workshops,
class, and you really need to talk to her. But as you guys know, this work is all about internal timing, and I always feel like when they're ready, somehow they hear about me or find out about me.
Right.
When
the student is ready, the teacher will come. You teach Feng Shui?
I teach classes in Feng Shui, mostly introductory classes, basic Feng Shui principles. I do a class on the Bagua, helping people to understand how to apply it to their space. I do a class on Chinese face reading,
Yeah,
which
I
is
took that. Well, you took your introductory to that. That
Yeah,
was
that's-
awesome.
that's-
What'd you call it? Chinese what?
Chinese face reading.
Face reading?
Yeah.
Oh, okay. What is that? Our audience is saying, what is that? Did you hear that, Joe? What is that?
So it's learning how to look at the face as a way of understanding, the person. So it's using the 5 elements again. So when we look at a face, what are the characteristics that may jump out at us? For you, your hair is, I love your hair, and that's one of the first things that I notice about you. And it's curly, so to me it's kind of a watery, that would be more of a water. But because it's so thick too, it's kind of wood. So it helps you to, as you are working with someone, especially a practitioner, if you start to understand the elements that are going on in someone's face, it allows you to understand them better and learn how to work with them so that they feel comfortable. You know, if I'm with a wood person and I'm doing a consultation for someone who has a lot of wood in their 9-star key and in their, like, if I start sitting there philosophizing with them, getting into a lot of detail about, they're going to be like, when is this lady going to get out of my house? Because they are
you know the
like
ins to
this.
people
They
when
got to
they-
go fast, fast, fast. Wood person is a multitasker. They got quick energy. They're on the go. If you're going to sit there and be, they don't want you there for, you know, how long you been here? Okay, I think it's time you need to go. That's a water person, on the other hand, wants to really, you know, get into the depth of it. They're very deep.
That's how I am.
Yep.
So, yeah.
I could see that too. Like even water here, this is water. Under the eye is water.
That is water under the eyes. Allergies. And the hair is a mind of its own.
Yeah.
It never
It's
comes out the
beautiful,
same
though.
twice. It's natural. It just,
Love it.
It's great.
well, what do you want to do today? I don't know. What do you want to do? I don't know. And it just does whatever it wants to do, you know, so has a mind of its own.
Yeah.
But
So
that's
the
interesting.
face.
I'd love to learn that.
Yeah, and there's, you know, I go into a lot of characteristics about how their eyes are, and you know, if they have certain kind of eyebrows, or if they have, when you see the lines here, this is wood energy. Yeah, they kind of come and go on me, depending. You know, those lines. It's
Well,
like
I don't have that.
I don't have any of that.
No, I don't have any of that.
It's drive, it's determination, but it could also reflect frustration, anger. Yeah, I know when I'm frustrated, that's what I do. And you know, my husband's like,
yeah,
"Stop
you
doing
tear
that!"
your
You're,
brow.
and I don't even realize I'm doing it. Yeah, it's
Yeah.
like, or like you're deep in thought. You know,
Yeah.
really thinking and processing.
I do
and
that, and I squint, and I do this when I'm really thinking, and I see myself on camera. I go, God, just relax that face, you know?
Oh yeah.
Yeah, who
We
needs
can pick
Botox?
ourselves apart.
Yeah. Oh no, never, never. Not after what they do with you. Do that on animals first. It's a terrible story. But anyway, bad thing. Botox, bad, very bad.
yeah.
But anyway, go ahead.
So the
continue.
Chinese, you know, so the Chinese, it's just another piece. Again, it's just another piece that we can use to help to understand ourselves better. And you know, the 9-star key was really key, no pun intended, key for me to learn about myself and why I needed things to be a certain way, why I was always very driven, or why I was very hard on myself. And when I started to understand more about the 9-star and my metal, you know, that I had metal and wood and earth and how they all interacted, I could just accept myself for those qualities. I saw the good in it, as well as maybe where I got frustrated with my need for things to be perfect or just so. You start to laugh at yourself more. You know, you don't take yourself so seriously, you know.
Yeah, I know. I'm a little bit of like a monk.
That's how we're wired a
Yeah,
lot of times,
yeah.
and you have to work with it, not against it. Yeah.
But if somebody
That's
told
interesting.
you that, you know, you're too serious, or you're, you know, you get so hung up in the details, you're too much of a perfectionist, and they teach you that it's a bad thing, then you start to believe that it's a bad thing, and instead of seeing how does it serve me to be that way, and also to understand why, you know, I have the energy of 6 metal, which is my overriding energy, which is the energy of the Father. And understanding that allowed me to see why I always feel responsible for things and people and want to, you know, take care. But why that, and on the same hand, it gives me the ability to be a leader and to be visionary and use, you know, those aspects of it and kind of say, okay, this is just part of who I am. It doesn't mean it's bad. I love doing it with parents, because when I can help them to see that all our children are not the same, not every kid wants to go and play out on the playground. There's nothing wrong with your child if he wants to stay inside and read a book. You know, it doesn't mean he's antisocial. It doesn't mean he doesn't have, you know, skills. But if they don't all fit into a little box, then we want to label our children with all these problems. And then once you start telling them that they have a problem,
Oh, the
guess what?
complexes. Yes,
then they have a problem.
Yes.
Yep, that's true.
So I find it very rewarding, and I think parents find it very enlightening to say, yeah, he is like that or she is like that, and okay, you know, and understanding that they're going to come from their child number for a while, and then as they grow and mature, they're going to come from a different number, and allowing that to manifest in them.
So you will do this for someone. You will do that for them, and you teach it also.
I do teach classes in the 9-star
That's interesting.
key. I love it.
You know, the world really needs more of this kind of thing. All the guests we've had on the
It's
show.
coming.
Yes.
It needs more to
It is.
understand instead of just go to a doctor, get a diagnosis, and get a pill. Find out why it's going on, what's happening, what you can do about it naturally. Save yourself all this
Aggravation.
aggravation
Yep.
plus
You're going to have to come back to yourself
expenses,
at the
yeah.
end anyway after.
But it's
every
not to say too
everything.
that, I
In
mean,
a
Western
crisis, yeah.
medicine, I believe, serves a role.
Oh, yeah,
It's not bad
definitely.
either.
No.
But not-
But it should, a pill or a surgery shouldn't be the first course of treatment. And
No.
when it is, or I've worked with people who have depression or anxiety, and they're not monitored on their antidepressants or their, you know, whatever they end up putting them on, and they go untreated. And instead of, you know, my feeling is, if someone's coming to you depressed, there's a reason why. And wouldn't it be more beneficial to talk to them and find out where is the depression coming from, rather than here it'll go away? Because all those antidepressants do is shut down your ability to emote, which is
Right.
the problem in the first place. So,
Right,
you know, the
'cause we're
depression,
running away
all
from
the,
trying to, we're so much trying to run away from feeling it and releasing it.
because there's a
And that's just
judgment
helping
around the
us.
feeling is bad. And it's not. It's just an emotion. I don't care if it's anger, sadness, what
Right.
it is. But if you keep pushing it down, it's got to go somewhere. And depression is just a belief in our own powerlessness, that we're powerless over something.
I know there have been times in my life, you know, when I felt depressed, and people tell me take what is it, Zoloft or what are those,
Yeah.
Prozac, like that. Why don't you take that? Makes me feel good. I said, because then I won't know if I'm getting better. And if I'm happy, am I happy because I'm getting better, or am I happy because I'm taking this pill? I won't know who I am. I'd rather go through it and know who I am and watch myself as I can pull myself out of it.
Discover what the lesson
Yeah,
is.
that's me, you know. But you're right. You're exactly right.
I've
There's a
worked-
reason for
Absolutely.
all these kind of emotional and mental problems. And if you need something to take just to get you off, get the edge off to start, and wean it off, and in the meanwhile get the treatment and therapy, like you said. You know, that's what.
Yeah, there's nothing wrong with using them as a way to help you kind of get back on your
Right.
feet.
As
but
long as it's seen as a temporary.
Yeah,
Yeah,
and
just
use it in
temporary.
conjunction. You know, I've worked with patients who've been on antidepressants, and if you could feel what it feels like when you work on their head, it's like
Yes.
the 4th of July going off on there. And a lot of them will tell me, I wish I could cry, but I can't, because it shuts it down. It just shuts all that emotion down. And over time, you know what happens when that you're going to create stagnation in the body, and then that's when disease starts. So
Yes.
I mean,
go somewhere.
every single disease, I don't care what it is, always has an emotional, spiritual component.
Absolutely.
Every single one. And there's
You're
not
right.
a patient that I worked with in the cancer center, in women's health, that it always went back to some kind of trauma.
All illness is
And
disease. That's what we say all the time.
Yeah.
Yep, you're right. That's where it comes from. That's where it starts. Get to the root of that, clear it out, you get well.
Exactly.
So,
So-
what are some simple things we can do in our space,
Yeah.
work and home, just, you know, to brighten things up, to help bring in some positive chi?
Well, number one way to bring in more chi or healthy chi is live energy. So, you know, we're live energy, but if we're the only thing live in the space,
Right.
then we're constantly relying on our own energy to supply and build, you know, the energy within our home. So that's why in Feng Shui we use plants. You know, you see fountains. You want things that are live, less, you know, fake and plastic plants and flowers and having real plants in our space is a definite way to enhance the energy. Wash your windows. You know, the windows represent our ability to see things clearly. You know, wash your windows, wash your mirrors, because sometimes it's our inability to really see what's going on. Sometimes we don't want to see, but and just start to pay attention. I tell people to kind of walk in their space and really just walk it slow and just start to notice what they see. Notice the pictures that you have in your space, because most people don't pay attention to the art. And the art is really like an imprint. Every time we look at something, it becomes an imprint in our mind. And I did a business, or I went into a business. They didn't really hire me. I went to kind of help a friend out with her desk, and I was walking out of the building, and there was this picture there that was, you know, these people kind of like all like hung over and you know, and it's just like, oh my God, every time, do you realize every time you walk out of this office, that is the energy that you're hit with?
Wow.
Is like this, and people don't pay attention to that, you know, what are the images that are in
They're
your
being bombarded with.
yeah, and especially people who are single and want relationship, and you go around and what do they have? Pictures of a single flower or a single person, or, you know, a lot of times you go in single women's home and they have pictures of single women. It's like, okay, well, this is what you're telling yourself that you want. So if you want a relationship, have a picture of people happy in relationship.
Hear
Or
that,
pairs.
ladies? You hear that?
Yeah.
Okay, you hear that now? All right. Same with you guys.
Pairs of things. Definitely, if there's clutter, get it up off the floor. Because the floor in Feng Shui, our basements, or the floor, if we don't have a basement, the floor connects us to the past. So if you're having difficulty moving forward in your life, get the stuff up off the floor. A lot of us pile things on the floor, magazines, books, whatever. Get it up off the floor. Even if you're not ready to get rid of it yet, get it up off the floor. Make sure your entrances are easy to get into. A lot of times I go to people's homes, I can't even find the front door. It's so hidden. It's not easy to get to. So if I can't find it, then other people can't find it. You may know how to get in or what door to get in. In our society, this part of the country, we have a lot of homes that have 2 doors. And someone who's never been to your home doesn't know what door to
it's like
use.
kind of a side front door and a front door, yeah.
Yeah, so it splits our energy when we have 2 doors like that. So we want to direct the person to where we want them to go. So just notice, what do you see when you come into your home and when you leave your home? You know, what are the visual impacts that you see? Like when you pull in, do you see your trash cans? You know, when you leave, you know, do you see a dead tree when you pull out? What do you notice? Notice what you see when you look out your windows too. What else? I mean, there's just so many things. It's just depending on what it is that you want to create within your space. But to me, pictures and images are so key, because it's a visual to say, this is what I want in my life. I always tell people, especially if I'm doing their office, I'll say, put a picture in front of you that you aspire to be. What is it that you want to bring into your life? Where do you want to go? Maybe if you're nearing towards retirement, it's the place you want to retire, or the house you envision yourself living in. Put the things behind you that you've accomplished. That becomes what we refer to in Feng Shui as our mountain energy. So if you have certificates or degrees or your accomplishments, things that you've done, places you've been, put it behind you as your mountain, as your support.
Yeah, backs you up.
If your desk, huge is be in command. So command in Feng Shui is furthest from the door, but in full view of the door. So when we have our back to the door, it's missed opportunities. That's what it implies. A lot of us, because we have computers, face our desk into a wall because of the cords, but that wall becomes a block. And in Feng Shui, we want to have an opening. You know, we call it the red phoenix. Behind us is the tortoise, the mountain. But we want to be able to create that vision. And it's amazing when I turn people's desks. Sometimes if I could do nothing but move their desk or move their bed or move their couch, it's like things open up.
Wow.
Because it creates, you capture a different energy, a different direction. And if you could just take someone from having their back to a door and put them in command, it's just like they'll call me or email me and say, I can't even believe just moving my desk. What a difference. And things start to open up.
Wow.
So those are definite easy things to do.
And so now you are expanding much more into, like you said, small businesses and.
Yeah, I love working with the small business
That's
person.
fantastic.
Yeah, and they seem very open to it. You know, I think that small business owners are willing and excited to do things that can help them to grow their business, where in larger businesses it's a little bit more limited, a little bit more difficult to kind of, I'm going to bring in a what practitioner, you know.
Right, because there's a lot of people, involved in.
It's come a long way, but
decision-making.
there's definitely more to do.
Mm-hmm.
So
many different areas
yeah.
take off on.
Yeah.
So thank you so
You're
much.
welcome.
This has been enlightening.
Oh, good.
And I know that, how often do you run your workshops? Do you have a regular schedule, or is
I
it
usually
just
try to do a monthly workshop at my office in Hamden, but I'm open to doing workshops for groups. I've been approached by some real estate agents to do some maybe face reading with them and learning how to work better with their clients.
So you can, people can contact you too if they
If
want
they
to set up something within their business or with a group of people.
Yeah, I have some seminars coming up. I do work with St. Francis Hospital up in Hartford.
We're going to give your information for our audience, so if they want to contact you, you can get a hold of Krista Polinsky. Her business is Soul Intent LLC, and she's a Feng Shui practitioner, and her phone number is 203-671-4301. You can also visit her website at www.soulintentllc.com. Okay, and now we're going to share our quote for the evening, right?
Okay. From our book of courage. Okay. Waste no time with worry or fear. Simply ask what needs to be done next. And your energy goes into the solution instead of the problem.
So
Like that.
good advice. And thank you all for coming to our
Now, if you want to
tune
reach
into
us,
our show.
right,
If you want to reach us, you can do
we'll
so
put
at
that up on the
hello.
screen in a minute, how to reach us. To contact us, me, Rosemary, you can call 203-627-7966. For Traci, you can call 203-232-3405. And email us your questions to healoutsidethebox@yahoo.com. And for show schedules, visit www.entirebeing.com for Traci and www.rosemarylachance.com for me.
Thanks, and join us again.
Thank you so much, and thank you so much for being here.
Thank
We
you
really
for having
enjoyed
me.
it.
Thanks so much. It
We'll
was
see
fun.
you next time.
As you look out through the window to the world you have made, always know you are the vision. See the truth, darkness fades.